Let's do it. Let's get into the fishing topic where we're going to finally dive into bullheads. Bullheads are, it's been a topic we've been dancing around. Like we've dropped so many times in here, and I was like, fine, fuck it. We're doing it. Not really a thing this time of year because it's this time of year. Targeted through the ice.
Yeah.
But I think they're one of those fish that you just can't get away from. And that's what we've always sort of said, right? They're just not one of those fish you can get away from.
No, if they're in that lake, you're probably catching them.
But that we'll get into later because you said they're in your home lake and you haven't really caught that many. We're going to get into that, but I want to say this right off the bat because this is something that we always say, Tim. We always bring this up when we're talking about bullheads, and I finally have the answer. They're catfish.
Yeah. They is catfish.
They're a kind of catfish. Now we'll get into it, and hey, there's probably going to be there's going to be some overlap with episode 51 where we did catfish, that was the fishing topic was catfish. They're going to be overlap, but that's how the Real AFTV podcast is going to work is
right.
Broad, narrow down, things like that. We're all about learning here.
Exactly. Yep. We just touched on that on the other one.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little bit just like bullheads are catfish. Catfish are bullheads. Not all catfish. That's wrong. I said that backwards. But
right.
Yes. I am definitely interested on hearing more because I am super invested in catfish.
Yes.
Maybe the information you have can teach me something about the catfish that are on my lake that are so mysterious that I only see when they're dead.
Right.
Or one time getting chased by sunfish. That was a bit of a weird story.
Right. Which is also part of why I finally just dove into it. I mean, it's been on the list for a while, but like we're not going to, like, you're not going to go ice fish that lake anytime soon. But I thought to myself, like,
no,
it's not a bad time to do it anyway, because
yeah,
how do I want to put that? It's not a bad time to do it anyway, because they're catfish, and there's sort of a technique that you always kind of use the catfish, right? They're bottom feeders and whatever.
Yeah.
So, okay. Let me do a little bit of the housekeeping part of the research. So a lot of Minnesota DNR because we live in Minnesota. So I got a lot of info there, but it was just a lot of solid info. But I made sure to kind of poke around the internet. So there's various other sources, but also a good source was from the North Carolina Wildlife Resources Management. So, North Carolina's DNR is another place that I hit up pretty big on this one. So here's why I chose those two to focus in on, Tim. Minnesota DNR never calls them catfish.
Yep. Okay.
North Carolina called them bullhead catfish.
Bullhead catfish.
Yeah. So there you go. That was kind of like the full on, like, I saw the words bullhead catfish, 2 words, because bullhead's 1 word.
Yeah.
So the science name is Amyris nebulus, which is...
Oh, dude, that's dope.
Isn't that fucking cool?
That's a cool name for like the lamest fish.
I know, dude. And we're going to get into why they're lame fish too in a minute.
Yeah. That sounds like something like I want to yell when I throw a Pokeball.
Yeah.
And then you just, and then it just flop it like a Magikarp. Flop, flop, flop. And then the person you're going up against never heard of it before. They're just like, that's Amyris nebulus? I thought we were getting like a legendary here. Like, I thought that was going to be really something. It's just a
Magikarp.
That thing's dumber than a Magikarp. Just way smaller. Looks like it stinks.
Why does it look like it smells bad? I don't know.
Fish looks like it smells like pee.
But not like fresh hydrated pee, like the pee that sits in the toilet overnight accidentally and you forgot to flush it, like that kind of pee.
I bet like That fish smells like if you put a tuna can in the sun for a while. That's what that fish smells like. The inside of that Pokeball is gross. Oh man.
Having said all that, I still want to have bullhead. Like I still want to eat bullhead. I still never have eaten bullhead.
Yeah, it's like the outside sucks, but like the meat inside, this got to be good, right? You would think.
Yeah, I mean, like people do it for sure.
Because like the bottom feeders always weird me out, but then it's like liver is good, and that's literally just to filter out the trash.
Right.
So if the filter tastes okay, then the meat of the fish that's just a bottom feeder should be fine.
Right.
As long as you're not eating it out of like a toxic river.
Right.
You know, you got to watch out for mercury content in some of those rivers, but for the most part, yeah.
Okay. The family, and I'm gonna fuck this up because these are a dead language, and I always do. So it's the Latin name, right? So the family is Ictaluride. Yeah, Ictaluride. That's probably what it is. Ictaluride family. And the reason why I bring that up, because that's the same family as the old big blue catfish.
The big old blue catfish.
And that's why, how when I open this topic, it's like, yeah, they're catfish. They're in the same one as the big old blue catfish. Even though they're small, which we'll get into too.
So this is a random thought, but you know that song that like, come on, I lean to the.
Oh yeah,
like is half of that song Latin?
Yeah, it must be.
Come on, I
think it is.
I don't know. I've never been able to understand any words.
Right.
And now it makes sense. It all fits.
Right. It's Latin. Of course, I don't know what they're saying.
Okay. It all makes sense now.
So there's 3 main species of bullheads. I saw up to 7 through looking through my research, that there's up to 7 kinds of bullhead. And I was like, that's interesting. Because then go deeper into research and basically only 3 come up: black, brown, and yellow. Like, okay. And the funny thing, dude, is every single source I found that was like, there's black, blue, and yellow. And it's super hard to tell the difference. Okay. Biologists, you do your thing. I'm glad that you can tell the difference, because fuck it. I'm just gonna go. Yeah, I'll never fucking know the difference.
Gotta like hold it up to the sun or something.
At 12:01 p.m. between the months of May and September, if you hold it at a 12-degree angle to the sun, parallel at the 93rd fucking, like, then you'll see the difference. You're like, okay, sure. But they have to be different color, right? Because like a catfish, like when you pull out a channel cat or something like that, it's brown. So you got to think that this tiny, like a bullhead, must be like more brown in color. That's where now I want to get into a little bit of the experience in your lake. Is what color have you seen there? Because
I would say it's yellow.
No shit.
Just because of the stomach, like from what I can see of it, the side of it is like really yellow. But like when it transitions from the white stomach, to like the darker back
color, is there a gradient? Like, does it look like a fucking yellow fish on it?
Well, it's like dark brown on the top, and then it like goes to like white, and in between there is like shades of yellow to brown. Right. So I guess I don't know.
I think you're pointing out exactly why these sources, these scientific sources were just like, yeah, man, it's super hard to know.
Yeah. Is it just like one of those? It's just like you have to put it, like take a picture of it and bring it into Photoshop, and then like it'll break down like the colors for you,
And then you can
and then
see
like
on the
whatever it
yellow
has
channel,
more of.
you're like, oh, it's really hot on the yellow channel. This must
Yeah,
be
it's
a
hot
yellow
on
one.
the yellow. This is yellow.
Well, so here's the thing: is the lake, your home lake, is like really clear. So this is what because I assumed that just the further north you went, the darker they would get in color, and I made that on a simple assumption that when you go east, they tend to be more of the yellow, and then as you go west, they tend to be more brown. And then up here, they do tend to be more of the black catfish. So I just made the assumption that as you go further north, they just get darker. But now I'm kind of going like, wait, is that I wonder if that's water, because the water's around the metro, like the northwestern metro where I've done most of my fishing in my life and caught bullheads before.
Yeah.
They're black, dude, like fucking dark black every single time. The bait ball that they live in, which we'll get in when we read production, right? Black.
Yes.
So is that what you're seeing in your lake too?
There's not even like a white stomach. It's the whole thing is.
It's just a black ball of little tiny fish, right?
And there's so many. Yeah, it's just a black cloud. Like when you see it, it's so black that most of the time it doesn't even register that it is fish right away.
No shit.
But like I know what I'm looking for now, and when I see it, and I see like when I'm with like my son and my nephew, I just like, those are catfish. Like I'll see it from a distance. It's just like a cloud, a black cloud moving.
Oh my god, dude!
And you just know
that's so fucking crazy
because you've seen it enough. Like those are catfish. Right. Run up to them. Look, those are all baby catfish. And they're like, what? I'm like, yes, that black. That's catfish. Like this is clear water. The only thing that makes that black cloud is fish.
Right.
You go run up on it and they're like, yeah, it definitely is just a bunch of black little fish.
Yeah. Fucking crazy.
So now that you say that too, like I'm thinking like maybe the back of that catfish up north wasn't even brown. Maybe it was black. I don't know for sure. But one thing I know about some fish as well is the water clarity can dictate how dark the colors are.
Yeah.
Now, what would change, like which color? Maybe if you had really dingy water, then it's easier to tell, like where the color's not as saturated. Yeah. Because like a walleye that you catch on a really dark, dingy, like lake where there's no light penetration, those fish are like way clearer.
Whoa, they're not darker.
Like, it's like a lot lighter skin.
Really?
Because the light's not penetrating to them as well. So like
I was
clear
assuming
water
the opposite
makes them darker. No, I think it's like the difference between somebody in Africa.
It's the sun. It's the amount of sun. It's like they must have something, because I was making
you're just getting
a camouflage connection. Do you know what I'm saying? Is like the darker water. So then this being a fish that has predators, the darker color would make it more camouflaged and less likely to get eaten by a predator, you would think. And so that like the darker the water, the darker the fish. And you're saying the opposite.
The opposite. Yes. The darker the water, the lighter the fish, because the light isn't penetrating to them, giving them that darker skin. It's like it's like almost a suntan, man.
Yeah, but that's like the northwestern like areas that I fished, they're not super clear. Like your home lake that you fish is the absolute clearest lake I've ever been on in my life. And I thought that's why I made the connection, right? Because you said it was sort of yellow, and well, again, just making the general connection of biology, life, and camouflage out in the wild. Fuck, man. Now you got my head all spinning. So I wonder if they really are black and it's just you're seeing that white underbelly, because, by the way, they all have white underbellies. There's even a white bullhead that in some of this that I read that like,
oh, for real?
Yeah, there's some that categorize a white bullhead. It wasn't very prevalent. Like I just saw one place that was like, oh, white bullhead's a thing.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, there's like white sucker and stuff. Like since we talked about it on that episode 51 with all the catfish, it's like I can totally see. I mean, if you didn't hear that first episode, there's fucking electric catfish. So I could totally see how there'd be white ones.
Right. Oh, and that's the other thing. Thank you for bringing up the because we don't have electric catfish. Like North America does not have electric catfish.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But North America only has bullheads. That's just where they live. The like I already said, we're getting a little bit of the habitat thing, right?
Oh, like we're the only people that have bullheads? Like bullheads don't exist, you're saying?
Yeah, like the bullhead itself, like the bullhead breed of catfish, we'll say, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Like it's a North America thing.
Huh. That's weird.
Yeah. I was kind of surprised by that too.
Yeah. I guess, I don't know, like it makes sense. Like they're definitely from here. It's just the catfish have always like given off such an Asian vibe to me.
Yeah, because
that like they almost don't even seem like they're like any of them are native.
Right.
But I suppose the bullhead doesn't have that same tail. It's got like a more normal looking tail.
Yep, you're jumping ahead, and I will get right into it. Is the okay? They have I have an image in the doc if you want to try to describe it, but I'll just put it down right now. Is the tail of the bullhead? It's round. That's what it's called. It's called it that has a round tail, where like a normal, a typical catfish has that fork tail, and that's exactly what you're saying. It's like a bullhead has a full tail, where a channel cat has that like V kind of chipped into the back of its tail. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Almost like its tail has two fins.
Yeah, like a bullhead has like the tail of like a bass.
Oh.
And a channel cat must be shaped more like a muskie.
Or a shark.
Or a shark, yes. Where it's a little bit more pointed.
It just has those two tips on it, where like a bullhead has a tail of a full paddle. And that's why when I was looking through all of this, it was just like, that is your dead set easy no. If you have regulations in your area that are different, you're going to know the difference between a small catfish and a small bullhead, because you just look at its tail and you just go like, as a bullhead unregulated, it's cool. We can do whatever we want. And that's a channel cat, and we have to do this, that, and this to it because of that tail. Just look at the tail. It's either going to be like that full round, like you just said, like a bass tail. Or it's going to have them forks on it, and that's like a catfish. That's some kind of catfish. Even though I said bullhead or catfish, you understand where I'm coming from, right?
Oh yeah. It's the same but different.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, perfect thing to bring up is like that. That's exactly it. Talking about electric, dude.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this before too. Everyone's afraid, like, got a bullhead, damn it, just slam it on the side of the boat, get the hook out its mouth. Everybody's freaking out.
Dude, when I was younger, I was terrified of them. Everybody was just like, you are just gonna, like, you can't stab him. And like now, obviously, you get older, and it's like you understand the conservation, and you know that you shouldn't do this stuff. Like, but when you're younger, you don't think about it. You just hear everybody, and they're just like, they're shit fish or whatever.
Yep, they're shit fish. They sting you. It sucks. It hurts.
Where we grew up, there was this walk across bridge, and it had these gigantic like concrete pillars. And because they were just like, there's spines, and like, don't, like, even my parents, like, I don't think they even caught one. Right. I don't think they ever even lifted up.
They never like, interacted in real life with a bullhead, right?
And they're like, don't touch it. It can sting you. And like, nobody ever explained to me that it's just some barbs. Like, you can get away with like holding it and stuff. You just have to place your hands properly. So I'm terrified to touch these things.
Because all they do is tell you. Yeah, that's exactly growing up in this area. And please tell us in the comments your story. I want to hear your experience, because me and Tim have the exact same one at two different lifetimes of, this thing stings you.
Yeah, it stings you and it's dangerous. You can't touch it. And I didn't have a players, and I'm like, I don't know what to even do with this
Yep.
thing. So I just like swung it from the fishing rod, like whop,
Yeah.
into that concrete pillar.
Oh.
And it doesn't work like you think it would work. It doesn't go flying off. So then you end up just like spending the rest of the afternoon slapping this thing on this concrete pillar.
God, that's horrible, dude.
Whap.
Right. Here you are,
it's terrible.
12-year-old kid that has had nothing
Yeah.
but like horrible shit told to you, and you're like, I don't know what to do. And so you start whacking it against the concrete.
Yeah, and then you get older and you're not even, like you forget about it until like, you know, later somebody says something and then you just go, oh my God, I was remember that time I was smashing that thing against that concrete pillar for like an hour.
Right.
You're just like, oh, I guess I would feel like a terrible person if it wasn't a shitty bullhead, because it's like, definitely I shouldn't have done that.
Right.
But also I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
So,
And it's kind of a, yeah, no, for sure. It's just, you were doing what you were kind of taught, but dude, yeah.
And it was, and also just to comfort anybody, it was for sure dead on swing one. That was the end. It just doesn't come off the hook easy.
Yeah.
Like,
no, it was out.
I should have brought up players. I should have been prepared, but I wasn't, and I was young and I was dumb, and I just kept going till that thing flew off the hook.
Like, but yeah, it was no doubt dead on the first. There's no. So dude, here, like you said, it's just spines. It's not a big deal. I mean, sure, it'll suck because, dude, it definitely has sharp spines. They're in the dorsal and the pectoral fins. As long as you know where the dorsal and pectoral fins are,
the sides and the top.
Yeah, say that again.
The sides and the top.
Yeah. Okay. So there you are. This is what we're here for. Don't go slamming them against concrete pillars because the spines are in the sides and the top. It's not the barbels on the front, which they have, just like catfish, the whiskers.
Right. That's another thing that I thought stung you.
Me
that's
too.
Another
I totally
rumor that I heard when I was little.
Mm-hmm. That it was the whiskers that had the stingers, or that they were the stingers, right?
Yeah. I want to say somebody even told me one time that they're just like jellyfish. And it's like, well, that was just a bunch of bullshit.
Oh my God. Yes. Dorsal and pectoral fins. Yes. They have spines in them.
Yeah.
Yes. They will sting you.
Yeah.
Yes. Because they're sharp.
Right. Yes, exactly. By stinging, it's like poking. They will poke you.
Right. Because
spines. So it's,
keep going, Tim.
Yeah. It's like it's just like a sharp barb. So you can basically just get like poked, and then they don't come out, because I don't know if they're like barbed where they.
Yeah, they call them. They did call them spines. So I don't think they're barbed, but they'll poke you.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. I saw one where like there was a girl, along the river one time on a video I saw.
Yeah.
And somebody had like caught like a catfish, and then they were just kind of trying to be funny, and then like swing it at the girl's butt, and the girl kind of like bent over to just be like, oh, like slap my butt with a fish. And then she just like screams, ow. And then like the fish was just like stuck, like the pectoral fin, like just stabbed her in the butt cheek, and it was just like stuck to her.
Holy crap, dude.
Yeah. And like I would expect it to just stab and then come out.
Right.
But it was just kind of like
it stuck
in her. And it was just like, okay. Yeah.
I didn't find if they were barbed or not, but either way, it's not anything to mess around. And dude, you know what?
Yeah, that was a little bit bigger one too. That wasn't a bullhead. I don't believe that was like a small catfish.
Okay, yeah. But, well, and also on bullheads specifically.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember if we talked about it. I can't from episode 51. I can't remember if we talked about it with catfish or not. But dude, they're a little poisonous. They do have a little something on them.
Okay.
So
this thing wasn't 100% false. So there is stinging.
Yeah. So it'll suck.
So it's not just So it's not going to be cool. But you don't have to worry about the whiskers.
Right. It's not the whiskers. There's 3 of them on there. 2 pectoral fins and 1 dorsal fin. I mean, you know right where they are.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of catfish have it on the dorsal fin, so I think that's what makes them stand out, and I think that's what makes people so scared of them. Because a lot of times you can like put your hand so you're not hitting the pectorals like between here, but you don't have to worry about the dorsal fin
Right.
getting you in the
Right.
palm there.
Well, and also explain to the people who are maybe not as avid fishermen or maybe don't do things like we do up here because they don't catch the same panfish we do or whatever. What is the typical way of taking a hook out of a small fish, a panfish, you know? Like,
oh yeah, you just grab the fish.
Yeah.
You just hold
and
it.
you just pull
And
down, you just,
like a whatever the sunfish is or whatever it happens to be, you just kind of like put your fingers towards the front of the face and then just kind of like slide it backwards, because all the spines that are on all the other fish like flare up.
Yep.
And all you have to do is just kind of like fold them down, and then you can hold whatever
Yep.
it is, and then you just pop the hook
Yeah.
out. But with a catfish or a bullhead, you have to get, well, mainly the catfish, you have to get your hands like on either side of those pectoral fins, because those will poke you. So you obviously just can't grab the
Yeah.
fish.
and you can't just
And
try
then
to
with the
fold down
bullhead-
that pectoral fin or that dorsal fin and hope
No,
for the
those
best
don't-
because there's
those
a
don't-
fucking
yeah,
spine
those
in it.
don't- Yeah, those don't fold down. The spines, like on any of the other fish, the dorsal fin is like a series of spines that actually comes up into a fin,
Yeah.
and that can be folded down. The barbs, the spines on the fins of these catfish and the bullheads don't move.
Yeah.
You can't just fold them down and hold them down. Like, you just kind of have to put your
They
hand
kind of don't work in
around
this.
them.
And even how many times has a crappie even stuck you a little bit just trying to get it off the hook, right?
Oh, I've
Like,
been stuck multiple
yeah.
times.
So like
Yeah.
to get stuck
And,
by
and
this.
initially I get pissed off every time, and then immediately I think about how I put a hook in his face and I go, "You son of a," and then I just go, we're even. Fair enough. Every time it's like a moment of just like, you fucker. And then I remember, oh yes, we're
that's
on
right.
the same page here. You poked me, I poked you.
Right.
Fair.
So so to go off of the spine thing a little bit,
Yeah.
they have barbels again, but those are just, that's just a word for whiskers, and those whiskers aren't barbs.
Okay.
Those aren't stingers,
Yeah.
right? Like what we were already talking about, like that's catfish terms for whiskers. Those are barbels, not barbs. They don't hurt you, from everything that I saw. But
Yeah.
also handling any catfish in general, it's slippery. So that, again,
Yeah.
right? The spines, and
Yeah.
I don't want to just make this into a
Yeah.
stinging episode,
'Cause
but
they don't
like
have
we were brought up on
Yeah.
on like bullhead sting you, so like we were brought up on
Right.
that so much. It's just going to be this topic quite a bit.
Yeah, because that's one thing that's pretty unique to the whole species of catfish, is that for the most part, I don't think, except for like the armored ones that we talked
Right.
about, I don't think they have scales.
No.
They have like shark skin.
Yes, they
So that
don't.
makes
Yes,
them
you're
even
right.
more
That's
slippery.
one of
It's
my
just-
notes. They do not have scales.
Yeah.
These are not scales. These are skin fish, I guess.
Yeah, slippery little weirdos.
Yep. Like that skin means their whole body's covered in taste buds. That
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
yeah. Yeah, dude.
That's weird.
Isn't that weird? Like that's just one of the things. That's how they're able to live in like the murky, shitty water and be bottom feeders and stuff like that. They can just they just taste everything.
Just tasting everything. Remember that next time you catch one, guys, and you're like, I can hold it with my hand because I don't have to be scared of these barbs. I just have to hold it properly.
Yep.
But that dude's tasting it. So you're safe, but it's a little bit creepy.
weird.
Just a little bit weird. There's a guy.
So
I did not know that. Is it the same with all catfish?
yeah, it is. It is the same with all catfish.
Weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
So again, I probably said that in
crazy.
51. It's just one of those things that hits you like brand new again when you say it. Right?
That sense of taste is just,
It's just everywhere.
God, fish are weird.
Fish are fucking totally weird, dude.
They have an extra sense already, most of them, because they have that lateral line. They can
Oh, right.
literally feel vibrations that we can't.
Right.
And now I know that they can taste with most of their
Right.
body.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
So to keep on the fin topic, while we're talking about how the dorsal and the pectoral fins got spines in them,
Yeah.
another giveaway besides the tail, the bullhead, it has an adipose fin between their dorsal fin and their tail fin. So like in the middle of their back, right? Because right off the top is the dorsal fin, sort of like, Free Willy. You've seen Free Willy, that's a dorsal fin. Then the tail fin. Yeah, there's this tiny little fin in between that, and it's called an adipose fin. Apparently it feels like your earlobe, dude.
That's weird.
Yeah, man. Wow.
Just a fleshy nub.
Yes.
What weird fish.
It has no structure. It's just like they said it feels like an earlobe. Now makes me want to go fishing for them even more, just to touch that fin and be like, why is this? Is it really that different?
I'm just thinking like we could like make the weirdest like kids song ever.
What?
Out of just catfish. You just could. Just like I got spawns on the side and one on the top.
Fin in the middle feels like an earlobe.
Yeah. Got a fleshy knob on my back and a taste with my butt. They don't have butts, but like I can taste.
Right.
My whole body can taste. I got a flesh knob. Just the whole.
It definitely has the makings of the weirdest best kid song of all time.
I just like my kid is like into so many like kids songs right now, and I was just like, they're all weird already,
right?
And now all you would literally have to do is just drop facts about it.
Right. And it's weird.
Don't be scared of my barbels, they don't sting.
It's the wings on my hands that you got to worry about. That didn't. I had something there for a minute, and it fucked up at the end. But I had something. There was a gem in there somewhere. You carve it out. So size wise, okay. Remember how I said that these are the same that Ictalardae. Go back. I didn't say the same twice. They're the same family as the big blue catfish.
Yep.
But these things are usually less than a foot long. And that goes to, again, Tim, I wanted to ask you about what you're seeing at your lake. Like, no way, right? I've never seen a 12-inch. Never. I never caught one that big. So generally speaking, again, they're less than a foot long. And this one may be, the black catfish that's more common up here in the Mississippi area. We'll just say the Mississippi area because that's what I found. So, yeah. But yeah, I mean, less than 12-inch. Yeah.
I bet the one that I saw getting chased off by that sunfish was about 14.
No shit.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, like in the water, it was a good fish.
Wow. Yeah.
Because I was like, that's a big, and it's the only one I've ever seen that's alive.
Besides the baby fish, besides the bait balls, right?
Yes, I've seen some of the bait balls. I've seen the very little babies, and like that big one.
Yeah.
And then I've seen dead ones. So like I've literally never caught one on that lake. So I know that we said earlier that like if they're on that lake, you're catching them. But I mean, like if it's a population that's known, like this is one of those mystery fish that is on this lake because I've seen them and it's recorded, but they're not technically like, I wouldn't say like a lot of the clear water lakes are the ones. And I don't know if that's part of it, if they're just in super deep water in weird spots.
Right.
Unless
are they more difficult?
Like it's cloudy water, then they come up or like closer.
Yeah.
And that's just not this lake. It's very clear water. And it was just that one time it was like up in the shallows, and I don't know if it was like desperate for food or whatever, or if it was spawning as well.
Sure.
And I just happened to see like the one that was trying to spawn still or what, but it was getting chased off by that sunfish that was also spawning.
Yeah. Which could be, and a lot. Like, we haven't done a full episode on, so we're not going to be able to make any kind of connection. But about those spawns because when we did the live stream, you kind of
Yeah.
had indicated on when the crappies were spawning and stuff like that. You said that. And so I'm gonna just kind of bring in a bunch of stuff. First, I'm gonna kick off with habitat, because everything you're saying, I'm just kind of like, why are they even in your lake? Because like they're in waters and streams and lakes. It doesn't really make that big of a difference. They're super sturdy catfish. Catfish are super sturdy. They don't need a lot of oxygen. They don't need clear waters. Like, it doesn't have to be a good environment. They can fucking live in the shit if they really want to. Like, they like the muddy bottom. They like slow moving waters, murky, low oxygen, all the stuff. No big deal. And this is where I'm going, connecting it back to your lake, is they're bigger. Their populations are bigger in lakes where the winter kill's big, because they just don't need that much oxygen. So they fucking survive it, dude. And so, like,
that makes a lot of sense.
Tell me
on
what that
some of
means
the
now
ponds.
for you and your lake.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't mean much on my lake, except for the fact that there isn't a winter kill. Like, it's fairly, I think the deepest spot is like 50 some feet. So like in a lake that deep, you really don't have to worry about the winter kills, especially, depending on the structure and stuff. Because what the winter kill is, I'm pretty sure that we talked about it before, but the winter kill is not actually fish freezing off. What happens is the water starts to get cold and the fish retreat to deeper water. And in a smaller body of water, everything from the summer, the weeds, whatever happens to die, all settles into the lowest part of the lake. And that starts to decay. And when it decays, it starts putting out all the CO2 or whatever it is.
CO2 and the other, whatever, the byproduct of decay.
Yeah. And it's taking in oxygen to do the decaying process. So it's literally like there's just not enough oxygen for most of the fish to like breathe down there. So they go to deep water and they suffocate. And then they die. So that's what happens with the winter kills and stuff. And I forgot where I was going.
No, that was really, no, that was it. Because you did say on your lake, it doesn't really apply, because you don't think that your home lake really has that much winter kill on it. And it made me think, now that we're like literally listening to you, I'm going, oh yeah, I wonder if in the 90s there was a lot of, because there was some decent winters there, like the 91 winter Halloween storm, right? Like, was that winter really rough? I remember playing outside a few years in the 90s and it was super cold. Like, we were playing on ice that had on top of the snow, and we were playing on top of the ice. That was just on top of the driveway, and you couldn't do anything about it. It makes me go like, oh yeah, I wonder, was that why we were catching bullhead and like the uncles were so pissed about it? Like,
yeah, it could be that there was just like nothing else left. But like when you say that, where I said that makes a lot of sense, is like there's different ponds and stuff. Like, I believe, I don't know if we've ever talked about Lake George on the podcast here.
A little bit, not much though.
But yeah, it's just like a man-made lake in the middle of town here. And that one has like multiple species and stuff, but there's a random pond next to it where there's a couple of swans, and I don't think that one's deep at all. And that one has a ton of bullhead in there. And that totally makes sense why like there's still bullhead that survive in there.
Right. Like they thrive in that because
any other fish would. Yeah, I think it would definitely do a winter kill in that small.
Right. Yeah. That's crazy. That makes a ton of sense. And so so to go on, I'm jumping over a bunch of things, but we're going to get back to, we'll end with reproduction and what they're eating and what the reproduction is, because I want to get into this part of the lake that we keep, your home lake that you fish. You've seen them in the bait balls.
Yeah.
So there's tons of babies. Like there's a decent amount of birth happening there.
Yep.
They don't get eaten that much because of those damn spines that we've been ranting on about.
Even the little ones?
But that's the thing. Anything in about the 4-inch range will get eaten. Yes.
That's what I was going to say. Like, I have the bait balls that I've seen on that lake have been like this big.
Oh, like a little bit bigger than a bat, like maybe 2 basketballs?
Yeah, probably like 2
Like
basketballs.
2
That's a good
official
size
NBA-sized
comparison.
basketballs. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. But the clouds I've seen on certain lakes and in certain ponds have been like 6 foot,
Damn.
like as
Like a
far as my
wingspan,
arms
like
can
your
stretch.
wingspan.
Yeah, like my
Which is
wingspan.
over 6 foot, but
So I've
like yeah.
yeah, but I've seen some large, large clouds, and
Yeah.
then my lake's been the smaller clouds, and
Mhm.
I bet you because of that smaller size and how vulnerable they
Yeah.
are, there's a large population of bass.
Yeah.
I bet those bass are just snatching them up, and that's why I barely see any because it's a very select few that actually survive to have like spawn and have that litter. I don't know what the hell you call
Yeah.
catfish.
Actually, I don't know either. I really don't know. I know
Sounds right,
more.
right? Cats have litters, catfish
Cat
have litters
Catfish must
too.
have litters too. Yeah. But no, that was my okay. So yeah, you're leading right into it because you have a good bass lake for sure. I didn't see that bass eat them, but that's not to say they don't because of course they're bass. They'll eat it. Um, it
Yeah,
really said. So I saw a lot of info that like where the flathead catfish are thriving, bullheads
yeah,
are not. Like
yeah.
flathead catfish are the enemy. Then of course
Oh,
walleyes, pike. I know you got a decent amount of pike in there. Here's the one.
yeah,
Here's the two that I was most curious about because I know you have a decent amount of pike. I know your walleyes are doing all right in that lake. Of course, you already said bass are doing great. Blue herring and otters.
okay.
Those are the other two bigger predators. Do you have a lot of birds flying around there? Like, do you see a lot of blue herring? Do you think they could be doing a number?
There, I see, and there's actually quite a few blue herring. Yeah,
So do you think
that
between
could
like
be.
are you hearing what I'm like there's probably no
Yeah,
flatheads where you are, right? Like cuz you don't have any streams feeding that lake or anything
no,
like that. So you don't think there's really
there's
any other catfish in there.
there's definitely nothing else. There's just a couple of bullheads that I see randomly. I've
Yeah,
never seen any catfish. I've never seen anybody catch them.
right.
Those are something that we definitely catch trying to fish for other
Yeah.
stuff. But that makes sense
Yeah.
that like the herring, because there's babies.
Mhm.
That baby
Mhm.
herring, I've seen quite a few of those. So I could totally see how that's what they're eating. But yeah, there's blue herring all the time, always flying.
Yeah.
I don't know how many there are around the lake,
Right.
but like enough to where we see one on the dock quite often.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's so many docks that like I'm sure there's multiple docks with the herring all over the
Yeah.
place, snacking on those little, just scooping them up.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And that's why I wanted to bring it up is because I'm going you see them, you see the bait balls, but you've never caught one, and they're bottom feeders generally speaking, which you're not doing a ton of bottom fishing, but like you fish deep. You've talked about that multiple times. It made me
Yep.
think. I would just wonder if there's so many predators that there's actually not that many bullheads in the lake, and that you're just there enough to see it,
Yeah.
but really there's not that many to catch. It makes me really curious. Do you think that's true? Do you think that could be true?
I mean, I think it's gotta be.
Yeah.
Cause why I've never heard of anybody else catching one on this lake.
Well, and also
So
talking about like your predator population, right? Like going out to the blue herring, bringing in the blue herring as an option,
yeah.
and then you got
Yeah.
your walleyes and your bass, and you got to be thinking the
Yep.
pike and muskie are
Yeah.
taking advantage.
Probably. Yeah. I don't know for sure. That spine in the back, they might not even dick with them. They might have tried it once and
Well,
then
yeah,
just been like, no, we're not doing this again.
right. But how many
But
make it over 4 inches before they get eaten,
dude,
right?
yeah, I could totally. There's a large number of like smaller pike too. And I
Right.
could see those idiots just being like, yeah, and then eating it and just be like, oh, this stupid spine. And then just like 2 seconds later,
Just going
being
for it
like,
anyway.
yeah, right.
Well, Tim, maybe you could catch one if you knew. But here, okay. So here's also how many people go out on your lake fishing at night? Like, is walleye fishing on that lake real big at all?
Yeah, there's a decent
Okay.
amount of people that fish
I
at
thought
night.
so.
Yeah,
because
it's clear water, so it's
right. But they're
but I
probably
don't
out
really
deep,
dig much
right?
at
Like
night
night,
because of the bugs.
right? Fucking bugs up north are
Yeah,
the shittiest.
yeah,
So these are bottom fishers. Typically, they're bottom eating catfish, right? So you'd have to be.
yeah.
I'm guessing walleye fishing, you probably don't get a lot of bullhead bycatch. But like, I didn't know this. Bullheads are mainly nocturnal eaters. Like they go out at night and feed.
Oh,
You got to think probably because they don't want to get eaten by the fucking blue herring. But
right. That makes sense. But yeah, I wonder how deep they are.
I know because they're bottom feeding. So you make a.
Because I think,
I get what
a
you're
lot
saying
of the
there.
walleyes like to move in a little bit shallower. So, like when you're talking like nighttime,
Mm-hmm.
they're the walleyes will move in shallow to feed a
Oh,
lot of the times.
okay.
So I wonder if everybody's just fishing like a little bit. It's like the top of the drop,
Yeah.
like it's like an 8-foot flat, and then it drops way off.
Okay.
Like they're fishing like right at the top of that drop. The
Oh,
walleye will come up and feed on there.
right.
So I wonder if maybe the bullheads are at the bottom of it.
Right. Or even just a
I
little
really
bit
don't
more
know.
shallow. I don't know.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I think there's probably like 4 to be caught.
Right. Yeah. Just what we talked about. Yeah. Yeah. Good point.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because they're feeding. So mussels, snails, bugs, smaller fish eggs, plants. They don't care. This is definitely something we covered in the catfish episode. They don't care really. They're not super picky. They just eat everything. But then
Yeah.
I seen crayfish on there too. And I was like, God damn, they're not even that big. And they're eating crayfish. And it made me think of like the creature baits and the crayfish and stuff like that. It was like, man, that's a weird thought. I guess you could catch a bullhead while fishing for bass. So you've never done it though. It just made me think like just that specific animal was like, oh shit, they eat crayfish, huh? Huh.
Yeah.
Got to think maybe they're just sucking them off the bottom on accident.
Sucking them off.
All right, let's end on a sexy note. We're gonna end on reproduction.
But
this is
that's what comes after the foreplay. First we get into sucking them off the bottom, then we get into the reproduction.
The transition there is like you always. So this is unregulated fish in Minnesota. At least there's no like you can catch them whatever we want. It varies a little bit, but generally 70-degree water is so late spring into the early summer is typically when these start to spawn. So that's the part that, okay, Tim, let's talk about what that means with the panfish, because you seen it chasing off you've seen a big one getting chased off by panfish. And so like, are they spawning at the same time? Roughly 70-degree water, early, late spring, early summer. Does that seem right? Because I know when I see these bait balls, it's like it's swimming weather.
Yeah, that seems probably about right for the sunfish. Crappies are earlier than sunfish, but the sunfish is what I saw chasing it off.
Okay. So that kind of matches up then.
Yeah, that seems to make sense.
Could have been a dual spawn situation you did see then.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's the only time I've actually seen one, is then maybe I did actually see it trying to spawn.
Right.
And for whatever reason, both of those fish were just like, I want to call this my territory. And the sunfish is just like, no, the fuck you don't. And that bullhead is just like, chill, dude, chill. It was so weird. Like that bullhead looked like far larger. Like it shouldn't have anything to worry about with that sunfish, and it was totally getting chased off.
So weird. Those little panfish, man, they're fucking wild though. They're like they're aggressive. They're super wild.
Sunfish are pretty aggressive. Yeah, they charge at whatever falls in the water.
Right. That's exactly what I'm talking about, or like that's what I'm alluding to. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I count on their aggressiveness because I do feel bad about smashing up that bullhead. I have no remorse for every spider I flick into the water and just watch that thing just get annihilated by sunfish. flick that thing in the water and just wait, and it doesn't take
Watch
long
that.
most of the time.
It's
Just
gonna get annihilated.
peck. It's just little pecks. It's not if you slowed it down, and zoomed in, I'm sure it's just
It probably
chaos.
looks gruesome because it's just these little literally getting torn apart.
Yeah. But in real time, it's just like bloop.
Right.
Bloop, bloop.
It's like 2 bloops
like,
and it's
there he
over.
goes. That's what you get, spider. Crawl onto my boat.
It's on, bitch.
Not my boat, but
so
there's so many.
Let me ask this. Did you see or have you seen a nest, do you think, like in that area? Because they make like these little round nests, and I know other fish do that too. It's not uncommon for like a fish to make a little round, like what? It's a fucking nest. It makes a little circle on the ground. Bullheads do that.
Yeah, a bed, they call it.
Thank you.
And I have not seen it, no. Yeah, they like fan a nice spot for them to lay their eggs. They like fan the debris away, so it's just like the sand or whatever it happens to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, the sunfish like spawn right next to each other, shoulder to shoulder.
Oh,
so you'll just see all these divots in the sand.
Sweet.
And that one is just a weird one. That sunfish was by itself, and that bullhead was by itself, and they were just fighting over territory. It was a big sunfish, though.
Sure. Yeah, of course it was. To fight off a big ass bullhead, of course. But so this makes a lot of sense then, because what you're saying lines up sort of with exactly what I had experience with bullheads, because bullheads tend to spawn in groups, tend to make nests, tend to do it in cover, take that word for what it is, but they tend to. Sounds like everything you're saying is like the exact same as Sunny's. So if you're going out pan fishing at this late spring, early summer for panfish, and you're targeting them knowing this and this and this, bullheads are totally going to be a bycatch. Like you can't get around it. Like it just
no.
It sounds like it's going to be possible.
Yeah, as long as you're on a lake that has a good population.
Yes,
obviously, like the one I'm talking about does not.
Right.
I've never seen it before. I've just saw that one, but I wonder. I don't think I'm normally like trolling the shallows looking at where sunfish spawn either.
You're not looking for it, really, because the water's clear enough. You could do that if you wanted to.
I do bring my son. To like go and like fish for the spawning sunfish too, because that's exciting. Because it's like, there's a lot of big ones you can catch right now. We don't like necessarily keep them, but we'll catch some like okay ones off the dock.
Right.
And then I'm like, I know where we can put like some monster sunfish, like some fish where we can just go like near those weeds.
Yeah, dude.
Put on your fake bait. You can bait your own hook even. Toss it in the water and we'll pull in the tank.
Right. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So, yeah. And now I know for sure we have a chance at catching a bullhead.
Yeah.
Maybe young Beckett will be the first to actually catch a bullhead on our lake.
That would be awesome, sweet. Dude.
Sets the record.
That would be so cool.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, that would be cool.
Dope.
Okay. So now we're going to get into the late night dirty work. These bullheads, they got their bed made. You got a male and a female. Male's coming in. Does the old slap and tickle. No, seriously. The male does a slap and tickle. They literally slap the female in the face with their tail to get them to get their eggs to come out, and then they just swim around and jizz in the fucking egg pile.
What?
That's what it said. They're tickling their face with their tail, dude. The old slap and tickle.
The old slap and tickle.
Oh, I couldn't leave it out, dude. It's too funny. It says it happens several times a day for a few weeks. So This is the thing. This is the thing. But also trying to catch them. Yeah, you got time.
Yeah.
They're spawning. They're spawning for weeks. It's so good. So, so both the male and the female, they hang around for a little while after. But dude, when they hatch, like when the eggs start to hatch, the male helps them school up in that ball. Like the female swims off. Like once they've actually hatched and they become those little tiny black swimmers that we've been talking about, the male helps keep them in that ball because, like, you know, that's how they work. They're like, yeah, the ball's safety until they get about an inch long, and then the male will swim off and just let them be, and they stay in that ball. So it's like they hatch out, and the male bullhead, the adult male bullhead, teaches them to stay in that ball, and then they keep doing that until they get big enough that they feel that they can leave. Which if the male's leaving at when they reach about an inch and they get eaten at less than 4 inches, you have to think like, well, somewhere between 1 and 4 inches, they're still hanging around in that fish ball.
Yeah.
Which is,
yeah, dude, that's one of the weird things about the males in a lot of the species is that like they are in charge of like watching the young, and then at some point they'll just turn on them. They're like, you're on your own. Leave or your food. And then just
leave or your food. And the male will eat them.
Yeah, the bass for sure.
Bass do that. Oh, wow.
Will eat the young. Yeah, I don't know if the rest of the fish do. I would assume.
Yeah, I don't know. It just said that like the male hangs around and makes sure that they stay in those bait balls that we've been talking about. It says it just keeps them in that, and then
I totally
pieces out.
Like I totally just picture a lot of the fish, and I may be wrong, but I know it works with bass, but them being like Dory.
Mm-hmm.
And then just kind of like swimming around and just being like, oh yeah, you're my kids. Like, let me show you how things are going and like whatever. And then like they just like swim around a rock without looking at them for a little while and then turn a bit around and just be like, can I help you? What do you just eat them?
Eat 3/4 of them.
Right, in one gulp.
Well, that's all I got really when it comes to bullhead, but I do have one more question before we wrap up and we go into the random take, which is going to be about 40 before 40. Don't ask any more questions, okay? Just we'll get into what it means.
Right.
No more questions from the audience. There's no audience. Would you go fishing for bullhead? You know of one pond right there in town.
Yeah.
Catching one on your lake would be cool because you've never seen them. But like, does any of this help you or make you want to go fishing for bullhead? Because I do. I still want to go and just eat one. Like, I don't give a shit. Let's catch one. Sweet, we got one. Let's eat it. Done.
Yeah. No, I would definitely. Yeah, I want to. It'd be like, I don't know which lakes have them, but I would want to go on one where the fish are a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
So you're like guaranteed. That pond I know that has them are like, you're talking all like, I don't know, 5 to 6 inches, maybe like 7 or 8.
I don't think there's going to be any meat on it, right?
No, that's what I'm talking about. Like there might be meat, but I don't want to dick around with them.
Yeah, it's not enough to even, because again, like I said, catch one, right? Like, yes. I'd catch one and I'd be happy with it, but it would have to obviously be one that would be enough to get like 2 fillets off of, enough meat, enough to something to bite into and give it a little something.
Right.
Like,
yeah, you gotta have some meat.
Right. Yeah, those ones you're talking about, that just ain't edible, really.
No.
Yeah. Well, what about? Let me say this. You've already put it on your goals for 2023. Fishing early.
Yeah.
Fishing early for crappies.
Early.
But crappies spawn earlier. So you're going to be doing work there. Yes. You're obviously going to go out and look for some sunnies and stuff afterwards. Yep. Would you change the way you fish for sunnies in an effort to try to catch a bullhead just to see, like almost for scientific research reasons. That's such a stupid way to put it. But like you said with Beckett, try to pull one out of that lake. You know, like, would you change?
I don't think so. No, because if the bullheads are there, I've fished on lakes where like they just bite on the worm.
Yeah.
Like bobber fishing.
Right. Like they're too easy to just be bycatch at, like,
yeah.
You're going out for sunnies during the sunny spawn.
Yeah.
They're bycatch. So
yeah. And I think on this lake you could just easily catch them fishing for sunfish if the numbers were there.
Right.
And that's all it is. It's just not the numbers.
Yeah.
I think to catch one we just have to fish multiple spots.
Sure.
Just be on the move. Go everywhere where a sunfish might spawn, and it's like relatively the same spot.
Right. Find the one where the bullheads have been able to run out the sunnies or outgun the sunnies, or however you want to put that. They just
maybe even fish like the same spots that the crappies spawn, just like well after the crappies are done spawning. The bullheads might. Now that I'm thinking about it, there's a couple of spots that I don't really go to in the summertime because it's kind of like a desolate wasteland. Like there's nothing there, but it works for crappie spawning. So like it's kind of like the crappies are there in the spring, and then just like nothing is really there any other time of the year. Like maybe a couple small sunfish or whatever. But now that I think about that, it's like, well, why are the sunfish there? Is that the same reason that the bullheads would be there? Maybe you'll have to try that out and see.
And just see.
Huh. Yeah.
Interesting. Good thought. Crazy thought, actually. Yeah. I love making those connections. Anyways. Okay. Let's do it, Tim. Let's jump in to the random take. But first, we got to take a break. And then we're going to get into 40 before 40, 40 after 40, 40 during 40s. I don't fucking know exactly what it is, but I heard a thing on the radio and we're going to jump into it. So let's do it. Hit the break.
You.